Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of Nicholas County Board of Education, Monday, August 5th, 2024. And at this time, please stand for a moment of silent reflection. Please join the board with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda.
As presented.
Okay. Number 4, approved minutes. The meeting's held on July 15th, 2024.
I see no additions or corrections. I move to approve if there are no additions or corrections.
Okay, Mr. Moose makes a motion to approve, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Ferguson, seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Superintendent's information updates, review, discuss the board self-appraisal.
I'll do yours first and I'll do mine.
Good.
You'll do mine?
Yes.
Okay. I have a few items I need to discuss this evening. I'm going to start with, I have Chris Hanshaw and Alan Stump have some updates. They want to give very brief updates. And so, Chris, if you would start off and then Alan follow right behind him.
As I do every year, I go over our phone bills or internet bills, and I like to see about making it, to see about if I can get any cheaper. So this year, actually, I was kind of wanting to get your guys' feeling to see if you had a preference on which way we go. We can switch carriers because we do pay for maintenance people, technology people to have a cell phone to be out and about. If we switch carriers straight up, we could probably save about $500 a month. We can do that, but I also thought, well, some other counties pay a stipend to their employees, and then they don't have to worry about buying cell phones or using them for personal use when they're not here. I think we can do that for about the same as what we're paying now. If we gave them a stipend of whoever had a phone, if you gave them a stipend, and then we can pay $14 per user for an app that goes on that phone that let them use their board number still, so they wouldn't have to use their personal number to call everybody and do all their business that way. We could do that. And I talked to Kristen. She kind of likes that idea, but she's chewing on that fat a little bit, so to speak, because if you have a board phone and you use it for personal use, then she's supposed to invoice I don't know how much or anything like that, but that would alleviate that responsibility off of her. So we could do a straight up swap carriers and save about $500 a month, and everybody, the board, own the phone and pay for the service plan every month. Or we could give a stipend and get the app, and that way, and then Ms. Schweitzel says that when she was in Calhoun County, her maintenance folks didn't have a phone, they had a two-way radio.
Too many dead spots.
That's Calhoun County.
So
there are dead spots.
So at any rate, I think the minimum amount we could save is probably around $500 a month at any avenue that we take. But I wasn't sure just what the board's thoughts or feelings about any of those was. So that was kind of my update and my request is if you want to think about that and come back and give me some feedback, or if you want to give me direct feedback or have any questions, I'm good.
How much would the stipend be? Are you relating that to what you're paying now, or?
So you can, my thought process is, and I talked to Sarah Lawson, which she was Webster County's treasurer, and Webster County does $50 a person because you could go and get a track phone for $50 a month. And can you go to AT&T? I went there and T-Mobile both today, and the minimum cost there is like, if you have your own phone, it's $65 a month. If not, it's $90 a month. But you could get a track phone, a prepaid phone, from AT&T for about $55 a month. Which a lot of the folks have their own personal phones anyways, and they wouldn't even be incurring additional cost. They would just put the app on their phone, and we would be paying them for the use of their personal device.
The only problem I see with that is if you ever got in the situation where there was a need for someone's phone to be taken, and
We still have records. So with the app, we would still have all the call records and things just like it was. As long as they're using the app to make the calls and receive the calls, we would still have all the call logs and things through that. But some people may choose not to use the app. They may just say, I'll use my personal phone and take the $50 stipend for that. And that way they're using their personal number, and they don't mind using their personal number. Because there's no point in us purchasing an app so that they don't give out their personal number if they don't want to use it. That'd be just a waste of $14 a month.
It's like it'd be a little less confusing for everybody just to use their own phone.
So, I mean, that's what I mean. So we could pay for their, the quote from T-Mobile was, I think it was $558 a month for 20 lines. That's new phones for everybody, and that's the coverage. So at AT&T, we're at about $1,100 a month right now.
Would they get about the same reception?
T-Mobile and AT&T use the same, they use the same towers. Actually, they use the same phones too, so if somebody has an AT&T phone, they can hook it up on T-Mobile.
Is the purpose of this strictly cost savings?
Just cost savings, that's the only thing, and I just
That's
was.
kind of everything we're looking at right now, cost savings.
Every year I go through and make sure that we're not paying more than our contracted amount for our internet, for E-rate. And then I try to go through and audit our cell phone to make sure we don't have unused numbers out there and stuff like that. And it was just, I solicited for bids for other companies just to make sure we was getting the best deal we could get. And
I don't have a preference either way. One of the things that just I thought about just now, and I thought about it earlier, I talked to you when we talked about this later this afternoon, is when you say stipend, you know.
Well, it's not stipend, it would be reimbursed. My
I like that
understanding,
word better.
it would be a reimbursement, like travel. If you use your own vehicle to travel, you're just getting a reimbursement for using your own.
Reimbursement's a better word.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, because, you know,
Well, then it's not-
we're having to make decisions on stipends. and
Yeah,
supplements and
right.
things like that.
Yeah, so
So I'm just trying
stipend-
to avoid that terminology.
Yeah, stipend was a bad term, that wouldn't be, that's not
A
accurate.
reimbursement like you do when you travel.
Like travel, yeah.
so as far as payroll, would it be easier to pay, say, T-Mobile one check, or worry about putting that on everybody's?
I think that maybe probably could set it up to be a recurring line on a paycheck, even though it's not taxable, so that could be paid that way. So, I mean, as far as that, that's not really a big deal, but doing it the way that Chris is suggesting also does alleviate the issue of people using a business phone for personal use, because part of that really should be taxable, and that's just, it's kind of a messy area anyway, and like if you're using a personal phone all the time and you don't even have, or a business phone all the time, you don't even have a personal phone, and that's an ethics violation. So if we could do this way that Chris is suggesting, it fixes a couple other little things that might become issues down the road. But I want to make sure that everybody who's going to need a cell phone is going to be getting able to look at it that way. So, I mean, some guys now, I mean, they might not want to have a personal cell phone and go working in the sewer that day. I mean, you know what I mean? I just want to make sure, I don't want to mess up anybody the way that they've got things going now. I want to make sure it's safe for everybody.
So you're leaning towards the app?
I mean, I say that because over the years, I've bought a lot of cell phones that's been broken and such. And I don't know that we wouldn't be liable for a cell phone if it was being used at work and it was broken, but they are getting, with the supplement, we would be relieved of the hardware purchasing, you know, or sorry, I messed it up again.
I heard it twice now.
As Fred would say, that's two, right? But with the reimbursement, then we're not responsible for people's phones, then they're responsible for that. Do I think that $50 would pay for a new phone and a full set of service every month? Probably not. But, so then, I mean, and so that's what, if we have an employee that says, I don't have a personal cell phone, I don't want a personal cell phone, do I think that $50 reimbursement would cover it? No, then what do we do? I don't have that answer.
Let me ask you something, Chris. This is mainly for the maintenance.
So the people
Totally,
who,
or-
the people who have cellular phones is directors if they want them, my technology folks have them, and the maintenance folks. That's pretty much it. I don't know of anybody else. I think maybe Nicholas County High School pays for their athletic director cell phone, but it's not under our plan, it's under their own plan.
So it sounds like to me you need to talk to all those employees and see, and then.
And do you want me to bring it back, or do you just want me to meet with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and Kristen and make a decision? Or I didn't know if you guys leaned or cared what way we did.
If it's gonna save us money,
We're going to save money no matter
take
what.
care of it.
Either way, it's gonna save.
Take care of
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So,
That's my opinion.
Al?
So I've got just a quick update on, get back to the beginning. Quick update on, I've got just a few updates. First one is Mount, is that, you guys see that all right? Okay, Mount Lookout Playground. Okay, this is not, obviously this is not the finished product. We've got the turf laid out. We've got pretty much everything almost completely in place. We're getting close on it. We've been waiting on the seaming material to seam the turf together. That just came in this evening around 4 o'clock. But you can kind of, I had some pictures and just wanted to give you a quick picture of that. So there's just a couple different angles. So I mean, obviously, all this is going to be cleaned up. There's just not a lot we can do with it until we can start seaming it together. We still had a little more turf to lay down. All this, find a better angle of that. So all of this, let me find. This one's probably okay. So like anything where you see where it's cleared out under the playground equipment, all of that, that turf will be tucked up a little bit nicer and stapled in nice and tight. And we'll get all the wrinkles out. And then we'll take the rubber mulch. And so all of this area in here, inside the turf, that'll all be filled with that rubber mulch up level. So it should be a nice level transition going from the turf into that fall. We have to have that fall material around the playground, so that's what's going to go in there. But we're getting really close on it. My guys are working hard on it. I've had 2 guys pretty much out there working on it, and they've really been working hard to get it done. So
Now, did you take the pea gravel out?
pea gravel's out, yeah. So that's basically really compacted dirt, a little bit of pea. There's,
Right.
minimal. It's a hard surface under there right now, but basically we're down to the ground. So we are going to leave some of this turf spill over in there. We're still tightening it up around the edges, but we're gonna leave some of that turf laying there to just add for more weed barrier or whatever, but they say that rubber mulch really just won't let the weeds come up through anyways. It gets hot and kills anything under it.
And do you see anything in obstruction or whatever as far as the ADA requirement that one of the things we're trying to meet, should that meet the needs as far as?
I didn't take a picture of it, I should have. So we'll have, so this is their walking track, comes around, and a path down to the basketball courts. All of that will be, basically that'll be a smooth transition from the playground to the walking track. From the school, where they come out of the school to the playground, it's a level surface, so we'll have, really don't even have a ramp there. It's basically, it's a pretty flat sidewalk getting onto the playground. There was maybe, you can't really see it. Honestly, we had wanted to put a strip of turf in between these two pieces of equipment, but to make that fall, the area around the equipment, it was going to make that sidewalk too narrow, and so we opted just to go ahead and fill that whole area. It would have been it would have been tight, and so we thought that, we decided against that. So that's where I was talking about, from here through here. It would have been a really tight area. This area right here that doesn't have turf on it, that looks narrow. And so I was initially a little bit concerned about that area and this area, but I can tell you that tractor was able to go through there, and so that made me feel a little bit better about, a wheelchair being able to maneuver through. This area down here, that's going to be a lot of rubber mulch, but that's because it swings and you have to have a wider area there. And so we'll have a special swing here. So.
Do you have an idea of the total cost of that?
I don't have the total cost on it exactly, but I think it's around 37.
37,000.
That's not counting the man hours, which we're paying that anyways, but. So.
And you think it'll be ready before school starts?
We're trying. It depends how quick it goes. We've never seamed it, so we're going to start on that tomorrow, and so we'll see how that goes. It looks simple, so we're going to start on that tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be. I'm afraid that some of the other schools are going to want this now. So, anyways. But
Well, Mount Lookout's paying for this.
Mount Lookout's paying for it out of
Paying for it.
their facility funds.
Yeah.
They had facility funds available, and so it's coming out of their facility funds, which is reserved for facility upgrades and things, projects like this. So that's one of the benefits of having a levy. So. I think that's that. And then also on the other one, and I'll be quick on this. We're still working on the lights at the stadium. I know that's a big question in the community. I think we have the lights really close to being ready to put up. We're really busting it on that because we have CW Wright, and a big shout out to them. They volunteered their time and resources. They're coming in on this Wednesday to set that. As long as everything works out, they got to get a truck out of Virginia down here. But I just talked to Adam Kaufman today, who manages that, and he says Wednesday they'll have a truck come in to get that pole set up, and so hopefully we'll have lights up by the end of the week. But so that's the update on that. I know a lot of people are asking about that. And then my last thing, and I'll be quick on this. Right, they're having an open house down at the Old Main Gymnasium today and tomorrow from 8 to 8. If y'all get a chance to stop in there and look at it, we collaborated, we've collaborated with the City of Somerville, Mayor Schaefer, and his crew, and they've done an excellent job. There's been a lot of people involved in making sure that basketball court gets put down, and that just the overall facility looks really great. There was some painting done down there and just some different things. I know the city put the mural up there on the front of it, but they really tried to clean it up. And there's a little bit more to do down there, but I want to thank the city of Somerville and Mayor Schaefer for making that happen for the kids. I tell you, that's been a lifesaver for our schools, having that facility available. So that's all I have.
Alan, I would recommend, maybe you guys do this anyway, but I know WVU does it before the season starts over both fields, Richwood and Nicholas. I would test everything. I'd test your PA speaker. I'd flush all your commodes. I'd turn the lights on, let them stay. Do you all do that?
We have a guy that's kind of over there. He's between the red gym and the football field pretty much all the time. So he's constantly checking things, and they check all of those things.
Yeah, it's just wise to run a trial run.
Absolutely, before you ever get to
all those people public in there.
Before you get to game day, it's good to make sure that's up and running.
Yep.
Yes, sir, we do.
How about the fence update?
I haven't heard anything today. Forget what the last update I heard was, what day that was. It was late last week. He said the new poles were in and that it would be done this week. So I need to check in with him. I've been concentrating on these other things. But yeah, that's should be finishing that up this week. So I'll check with him first thing in the morning, see where he's at.
And the old main gym looks really good.
It does. The floor looks really good. We went in and really did a big job of trying to make sure it was clean. They painted the bleachers, painted all the walls. Of course, the city put a new roof on it a couple of years ago in preparation to put a new floor in. And so the floor looks really, really nice. And the city paid a little extra to make sure that we had ample volleyball places for volleyball sleeves. That's something they didn't have to do. Our volleyball coaches asked. That was a request they made. And Mayor Schaefer said, absolutely, we'll pay a little extra and make that happen. And so he was able to make that happen. So.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. I have several little things I need to go through, and I've got one I'm going to spend a bit of time on. City Construction is on site. That's our general contractor to build our Somersville Academic Complex. And I was actually on site today, and Anna Sanders from WCHS was up there, and she interviewed me up there, and I showed her a little bit about the site and how things are going to lay out. And so that's going well. There is temporary power on that site now, so that they can do a lot of the work. But I'll tell you, they was throwing some dirt around today. There was dust flying everywhere while I was watching it. And I asked her, I said, can you get that on the screen so people can see that there's a lot of work going on out here? And she said she would. But we're just real pleased with the effort that City Construction is taking with this project starting. I mean, they're hitting the ground running. We've talked about, I know people get tired of hearing me talk about it. We've been talking about dress code policies and cell phone policies now for about 8 months now. But tonight on the board agenda, we do have a dress code policy going out on 30-day comment. Now, we realize that 30 days, schools will be in. And we're going to tell our principals when we meet with them this week that we feel like this is a very minor changes to the policy. So we want them to go ahead and start implementing this, even though it won't be formally approved until the September 1st meeting, or the first meeting in September. But I just wanted to touch on just a couple of little things that we changed about it. As I told you before, the policy was fine. It's not being followed. It's not being implemented. It's not being students are not being held accountable for not following the dress code, and that's on the principals to do that. So when we meet with them on Thursday, we're going to talk to them about this, about not just the cell phones, which I'm not going into a lot more tonight, but the dress code. And if they don't enforce it, then we're wasting our time even talking about those kind of things. But the things we changed in the very first item, I'll just read to you. the policy did say clothing should cover undergarments in the buttocks area. Well, we changed that to it must cover. Seems like common sense, but that's what we're changing it to. Also, we're adding to that, shorts, dresses, and skirts must extend to mid-thigh. Holes, tears, rips, or cuts in pants or clothing bottoms must be below mid-thigh. Because a lot of the holes in the pants are above mid-thigh. So that's one thing we want to try to take care of. And the other thing on number 2, it says tops should be respectable and non-revealing, and we added the entire torso must be covered at all times. Then one thing we had to take out, and I'll read to you, I'll quote to you what had to be taken out, and it was because the Office of Civil Rights gave us a finding on having this in our policy and told us to take it out. Correct? However, students, we talked about hats. No sunglasses or bandanas worn or displayed at school other than with order from a medical doctor or principal approved during Spirit Week or other similar celebrations. Hats may be worn at school. However, and this is the part that we had to strike, students will remove hats while reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, standing for the National Anthem, and during the other solemn moments in which it's customary to remove head coverings. In addition, teachers who feel that hats are creating a visual disturbance that impairs their ability to monitor student engagement may ask students to remove hats during class time. Now they are told they cannot do that. And it's the Office of Civil Rights, that's not us. Hoods and hoodies are not considered hats and should not be worn indoors. We know kids are going to wear hoodies to school, but they're not supposed to have the hoods over their heads during school. They can have the hoods on the back, but not over top. And then that's basically all we changed in the policy. So it's very minor changes, but I think that's some very important changes that we really specify about the holes in the jeans and about covering certain parts of your body. And so that'll be discussed with the principals on Thursday. The next item, just kind of informational. The first day back for principals was last Thursday, and they all attended the Principals Academy at Tamarack. It was a 2-day training. I was with them on Friday. A lot of good information was shared at that time. James Agee went over with a lot of things with them as far as investigations of students and personnel. And Jason Long was over there to talk about the various policies that principals have to implement each year, have to follow each year. So they did that. We are also going to meet with our principals on this Thursday. The first day for our 200-day employees is next Monday the 12th at their home schools, with the first day for students being Monday, August the 19th. August 13th is the first continuing education day at Nixon County High School at 8 o'clock, and board members are encouraged to attend if you can at all. The cornerstone ceremony is planned for Saturday, August 17th at 1 o'clock at the Great Creek site. We've been working with the Masons on getting the planning done. They're doing a lot of the work themselves, but they have shared with us some things they want us to provide. And of course, we'll do a few little words of encouragement and appreciation, and so will the mayor's office and possibly the county commission if they choose to. We're holding a public auction this Wednesday at 9 o'clock at the bus garage. So that we may end up following up with another one later on, but this is one at 9 o'clock, and there's going to be some technology things, and I think there's a variety of items. I wouldn't want to start going down the list because there's too many to mention, but that will be on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. At a very near board meeting, at one of the next board meetings, the next one of the following, we want to recognize our LPN students who recently graduated. I saw it on Facebook for our first graduating class, or the last graduating class that we've had of LPN students would be here to, we want to bring them in and congratulate them for their accomplishments. And the student reps, we used student reps last year for the high schools to come and do little reports, and they're going to do that again this year, but of course their kids aren't in school yet, so they haven't been able to pick someone out for that, but hopefully in September we'll be able to start with that. And the last thing I have, Chris, can you put that up on the screen for me? Pardon?
The mic is up there.
You can see the chart, and I provided the board members with a chart that shows the number of employees compared to the number of students. And if you look closely, in October 2015, we had 546 employees and 3,842 students. Now compare that to, if you go to 22-23, which that number's not there any longer, but it was, 541 was the number there. And so we're maintaining approximately the same number of employees we have, but look at the blue line, the number of students we're losing. We've lost 700 kids and keeping pretty much all the same number of employees. Now math will tell you that it doesn't take long to dig into your budget to cover all the expense of all these extra. When you're losing students, you're losing funding. And so we are trying our best to look at every single position we have. And just this week, we had 4 positions that became vacant that we did not replace. And the board may get approached by schools wondering why we're not reposting these jobs. Well, this year, and Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we had to take out about $3.5 million of the money in our contingencies to cover our budget, in order to turn into the state to meet our budget, because you have to turn in a balanced budget to the state. $3.5 million. That's if we stay status quo. We cut 4 positions this week, which is going to save about $200,000. Well, that sounds great. You'd have to save about 50 positions to get us back to square one. Now, we know that we can't cut 50 positions because we'll be cutting into too many student services. What I'm trying to point out is this. We have to look at every single thing we can do to try to get this ship on the right track again, because we're going to be drowning financially if we're not careful. 2-3 years of a $3.5 million dip into the savings, you don't have any savings left, and you're going to be in trouble financially. And we're going to do everything we can to avoid that. So I just want to let the board know that we are looking at that. We're looking at every single thing. It's just like when Chris was showing to you about those funds. That sounds like a minor thing, and it is, but it's just another way to try to cut into this deficit a little bit. 85% of our budget goes to at least 85% goes into salaries of our employees. So obviously you can make the biggest difference there. Now, last year, I know you won't really hear me here, but here's the line from last year. We were here when school started, and here we are now. So we were at 541, so we cut 19 positions. And that's without anybody losing a job. That was through people retiring, taking other jobs, and we did not repost their jobs. So that's 19 positions. That needs to go that direction a lot quicker, and this number needs to come up this way. We have, I think, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you sent me a report earlier today, and I think the number was close to 500 students we have in our, in Nicholas County that are homeschooled or Hope Scholarship. As you can see, the difference here is 700 kids. That's 500 of them right there. It's not that they're necessarily leaving the county, but they're leaving the school system. So we're losing all of that funding. And so this gap is way too wide. Up here is pretty good. Then here in 2020, COVID hit, this went up, this went down. And we're trying to recover from that. So I want to share that with the board. I want to share it with the staff on the 13th also. But I just want everyone to be aware. I wanted to do it here at a board meeting so I knew to get out to the public and be in the newspapers and all this. But this is, I'd rather tell you this now than 2 years from now when we don't do anything about it and then we're up against it and say, why didn't you do something about this earlier? So we knew about this last July when we came. We knew this was going to be a problem. So we started immediately trying to make changes and watch every dime we spend. And I know, we get, and I'm not going to go into a lot of it right now, but I assure you that we do the same thing here at the central office. When Donna was here, The last year she was here, there was 2 positions that she could have replaced, and she chose not to. So kudos to her for that. And this year, we had 2 positions here, we didn't replace those either. So we're looking at everything, from the central office to each school to cell phones. Everything we can look at to try to save money. And that's all I have.
Terrence, can I ask one question on the graph, or make one thing on that gap? It'd be nice at some time if they could also graph, red is the total employees.
It is.
If they could have, and I'll tell you the reason why I think this would be decent, would be if they could have, say, a different collar for service personnel, different collar for teachers, different collar for board office, and see how those are trending compared to the number of students, because you may need the same number of service personnel, because you may only have, where you have 30 people on the bus, you may only have 10 people on the bus.
Right.
So they may not correlate. That's total staff, but I think it'd be interesting to look at, too, your ratio of, there is, I think, a general perception out there that it's always the frontline people or the teachers. And we think that is incorrect. That would be a way to kind of prove it on those graphs to break that total out into maybe 3 sectors.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you reminded me of something when you brought that up. Last year, when we made these cuts of 19 people, we still ended up adding all these second grade ECATs. So even with those additions we made, we was able to come down 19 employees. Correct? Kelly, am I correct?
You are correct.
And the second grade ECATs, that was state mandated.
State mandate. And they don't pay for all those positions. It makes it sound like they do, but they pay a portion of it, but we have to pick up some of that too. And the other problem with this is these numbers, each year our teachers get an increment with their pay raise or with the number of years experience. So that number keeps growing. So this year's 3.5 being, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but if the same trend we're going, next year it'd be 3.8 million. So we've got to stop that gap from getting any bigger.
No, I applaud you for doing that. My point is, I don't know how many bus routes, but I know Alan's been working on some of that. So we're cutting everywhere, or looking at cost, I don't even like to say cost savings opportunities is the way I always for.
One of the things we are working on this, starting now, Alan and I had this conversation, is, when the Richwood School is finished and ready to go, there's obviously going to be some bus routes changed. And so we have made some changes this year. They may be slight, but they have been changes to our transportation, trying to save us a little bit of money. But we're going to have to look at some routes next year really big time. And of course, 3 years down the road, when this new building is finished, that's going to be another opportunity for us to do that. But I don't want our employees to think, oh my goodness, they're going to cut 50 of us, we're all going to be out of jobs. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when we get a vacancy, and the principals have to understand, I know their teachers and their employees will get after them and say, you need to go fight for us to help keep that job. And if there's any way we can keep it, and if there are these situations where we have to replace a position, we know that. It's not just going to be every single time. But if we can, I'll give you a perfect example. Laura Jarrett was hired, I think she's on the agenda tonight, she's on the agenda last time, to be hired to work here with our teachers and with 504 and IEPs and those kind of things. Well, she was an ELA teacher at the high school. Kelly, Mrs. Whitesell called Candy and said, I don't want to repost this position, can you make it work? And at first, there was a little resistance, not much, but Candy, to her credit, she said, I will make it work. So they made some changes to where we did not have to replace that position. A teaching position with benefits and stuff, that's $75,000. And that's just, you have to do those things instead of say, well, they're going to complain, so we're going to have to repost this job, and then you're here, you're looking at this, and the gap's going to get wider each time we do that. So, that's where I'm through.
Okay, the self-appraisal that everybody filled out, Mr. Henshaw downloaded all that for me and Mr. Bean. And anyway, everything was blue and red. Blue is strongly agree, or red is just agree. I don't think there was any disagreement on anything that I remember, but anyone that wants to look at that will be on our website.
Yes.
When?
First thing in the morning, I didn't want to put it up there before you guys all read the board meeting.
Okay?
Yeah, I think
So-
the law has to be on the website.
So, yeah, by law, it has to be on the website, so he'll take care of that tomorrow. If anybody thinks there's a mistake on it, I don't know if you looked at them yet. So, if there's no discussion on that, then we will go to delegations. And so we have Charles Rose is with us tonight. And so if you'll step up to the mic and say your name and where you're from, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
My name's Charles Rose. I'm from Birch River. I've been with the board for 35 years, driving school bus. And I'm here this evening to, which I shouldn't be doing this after your comments. I'm here to ask for an increase on the pay for the drivers that do VOTEC. We have 5 buses for Richwood and Summersville right now that's running back and forwards, making the runs from high schools at Richwood and Summersville. What we're getting paid right now was negotiated 25 years roughly ago with Bernard Lindsay. 3.5 hours a day. Those drivers, when they negotiated that, they were making 1, sometimes 2 runs a day. But they was not obligated to do anything else in between. We're doing 3 runs a day now. Plus, if the nursing program needs to go to Calhoun to do their practicals at the nursing home, we have to make 2 trips up there to take them up and go back and pick them up. The cooking class, they do catering jobs. We work it into our schedule to take them to their locations to do their catering. All the classes up there, and or they request a trip, we take care of it. Normally, back in the past, that was assigned as an extra duty job. Another driver in the county got it and was taking care of that trip. We work together between the 5 of us, and we take care of everything that we can. What we're asking is one of 2 things, is whether we could get paid from the time we start our VOTEC run until we're finished in the afternoon. Some of our pays are going to vary because our job requirements are different. Or possibly split the VOTEC up into 2 sessions, like a morning session and an afternoon session, and possibly post them at 3.5 hours apiece. So we're just wanting to get paid for the time we're there, because we stay on site. A couple of us stay there on site. The teachers will bring us a bus request, and then we work between the 5 of us, and we take care of all their trips for them that we can. And we just like to possibly get a little bit extra on our pay for taking care of all that for them. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Bill Little with the Richwood Middle School softball update.
He's going to make a presentation.
Oh.
But we have to put him under. That's what Kelly told me.
First of all, I want to thank you all for allowing Latricia Kincaid, my daughter, and my assistant coach, and myself, giving us the opportunity to coach at Richwood Middle School this past season. It was an experience that Tricia and I loved. And without ado here, we've got a little token of our appreciation to give to you all for approving this.
this time, I didn't know that was your daughter.
About this time last year, we was coming to you all to get the softball team started. But also too, Tricia was approved on September the 10th as the coach, and I was approved on November the 10th as a coach. I don't know how it got, but I had calls that night on the 10th, and then also too, from November up to February, the end of February, I was having calls for coaches wanting to play. I mean, it was something else. We also started, or I started on the 12th. Now this was on the 11th when everybody started calling, and on the 12th I started contacting sponsors. And, you know, it was in the delegation that we was supposed to obtain $5,000 for our startup money. Well, just to let you know, we didn't meet our challenged amount. We exceeded it. We had some really good sponsors. We had 15 sponsors right now, and we was way over. We almost doubled that, or we did double it, and a little bit more. We had 15 sponsors. We're wanting for 5 more sponsors to have 20 sponsors. And the businesses were interested, highly interested in helping us out. And we had sponsors from Nettie. We had sponsors from Summersville, Craigsville, and Richwood. And we was really tickled with that and everything. So that lasted up to about the 19th of April. I was working on sponsors and stuff. Let you know, Tricia said that was she wasn't going to deal with that. I had to deal with it. So that's how you had to deal with a daughter telling you what to do. Okay. But also too, on February 29th through March 20th, we had about 25, 30 players trying out for the middle school team. And then we decided that since we was only allowed a varsity team, we kept 14 girls. And we practiced at the St. Luke Activity Building and also too at the Pratt Field in Richwood. On March 21st, we had our first game. I mean, we was all excited and everything. We got over to Beckley. We played Greater Beckley, our first game. And I could see we was going to be pretty good. We was going to do good. And like I told him, I said, I'm not worried about how we start. I just want to see how we finish at the end of the season. And we won that first game 18-3. And they really learned a lot. And made me learn a lot about it because I had my doubts at first. But I knew we was going to be okay. Like Tricia and I said, at the end of the season, we could tell that they grew up. And I don't know if you all know this, we made these girls and their parents sign rules, 3 pages of rules. And there we could see that they started growing up. There was a little bit more discipline. They took that pretty good. They took good with but you know, if they didn't do something right, do it over again or whatever like that. They would not stand there and try to overtalk you. I only had to say it one time. I said, you ever talk my daughter again, you're going to run for a whole week. You're not going to touch a ball. That's all it took. They didn't want to run. And no more did you hear them over talking her or anybody else. It made a big difference in those girls. And like I said, they grew up. And but I just want to thank you all to allowing us to have those girls and coach those girls. But also too, there's one thing that happened on April the 26th. Floyd Brand and I requested to be placed on the Central West Virginia Athletic Conference meeting at Braxton County High School. And the reason why we did that, wanted to go there, our request was to get Richwood Middle School reinstated back into the conference. We wasn't in the conference. So at the end of our softball season, we just went home. We wasn't able to play for a tournament at that time. So we went before them and discussed what we wanted to see if we could get back into the conference. And every one of them voted yes. We're back into the conference now. We're going to be able to play for a tournament, for a championship and everything. And also too, we hope that this would get some of these kids back playing so they'll have something to play for. To have something to where they can, to see they can be champions or whatever. And we just try to do the best that we can with these kids. But most of all, the parents. We had so much good support from the parents. The parents they was great with this. They could tell a difference in their kids. They knew that if they would back talk them, even after a game or whatever like that, even if they even thought about it, and if I heard it or Tricia heard it, they was going to have a bad day. I mean, we was trying to get the kids back the way that they should be, not being the way that they want to be, the way that they should be, and the way to be young ladies and everything. But I also want to tell you all, and everybody, even with the board, the people that works for the board, I want to thank you all for helping us, for helping me and Tricia when we would make a call, when you all would help us. Help me especially, get my paperwork back together after being out of it for a couple, 3 years. Thank you and everything, everybody. I want to thank you because I'm telling you, we couldn't have done this without you all. I'll end with this, and I put this down, and I seen this the other day, and I kind of put some words to it and changed the little words. And I know some of you have heard this, but it dealt with teachers, but also too, this deals with us. And I said, coaches don't coach for the income. Coaches coach for the outcome. And the same thing goes with the teachers. Teachers don't teach for the income, they teach for the outcome. And that's the way that I told Tricia how I feel about this. It's not for the money. I want to see that these young ladies are going to be young ladies. And that's the way I've always coached. I'm going to teach them, and I'm going to talk to them, and I'm going to treat them as if they were my daughters. And that's the way it was going to be. And so help me, every one of them took on like that. Yes sir, absolutely. I mean, they wouldn't just come in and jump and talk when we was talking. They waited. But before, they didn't wait. They was talking. They was trying to talk over us. It never happened again. And I could see that after we played this year. They grew up a little bit, and they're right on track. And I tell you, it was something for me to see that happen. And that's the way it is. That's the way we coach. It's the way we are. We want to like a family. And but I do want to thank everybody that's helped us with this. We're going to keep it going. And there's one other thing I need to ask you, Terrence. If we could, at one point in time, maybe not right now, get some new lights okay? And when the new school was built, if we could possibly have retractable batting cages in the gym. Because I don't know if we're gonna have anywhere to put any batting cages. And they can be put, and they can retract from the ceiling down, and they can retract right back up at the end of the practice and be out of the way of everybody. And that could work also too for the softball and the baseball. Because the way that I looked at that the gym could be divided. They'd have, you could be divided to where you could put a curtain up, you could have baseball on one side, you could have softball on the other side. And you could have the batting cage in there. If that would be the only way that we could do that, I just request that if you have the money. If not, then I understand. But I know you all don't want to keep on renting out our different places. And as much as it costs per year, if we'd have to rent out St. Luke's or wherever, just to have a place to do our softball or baseball inside when it was bad on the outside. If we could just get that would be great for us to get that. And then just getting the new lights, because we do need new lights down to 2 ball fields.
You talking about Pratt Field?
Pratt Field, baseball and softball. And everything else, we've got people that can work around there and everything. And the guy that works in your custodian, Bill Roberts, does a great job, Alan. He helps in any way. If we need anything, he'll help us 100%. He's a good guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I know that's more than 3 years.
Bill, thanks for your leadership, bud. Doing a good job. Thanks for your leadership.
Thank you.
Okay, action items, number 7. A is discussion with possible action on putting policy 2260.03, which is a programs of study for limited English proficient students, out for a 30-day public comment. Any discussion on that?
Are we getting more students in that category?
Ms. White, so are we getting more LEP students, or is this a policy that needs to be updated?
It's a policy that needs to be updated. No, we don't have any new
No,
ones
you
that we know of. But we have monitoring this year,
Right.
and when they were looking through some information, they indicated that our policy was out of date.
Okay, discussion with possible action on approving the continuing ed schedule for the 24-25 school year.
Yeah, this is something that's supposed to be done every single year. Is the board simply approves the CE schedule that we have for when they come back to school, so it's just a formality, or we definitely want your input if you have any, but it is something that needs to be on the agenda every fall, every summer.
So is this will this take care of all the continuing ed?
You mean hour-wise?
Yes.
I think so. There's going to be, we have 2 PD days in, October and another. So we're working, there's something on the agenda tonight for those days, so we don't have those schedules set per se.
Okay.
But I think as far as hours, that this is all, I'm not sure about that.
That's why I asked
18
that.
hours. I don't know that we have to document that the same way. Because like we do, we not like we used to have
You
to.
don't for professional, no. Definitely don't.
Okay, if there's no discussion on, anybody else have anything? Okay, discussion, C is discussion with possible action on approving the updated policies. I am not going to read every one of these policies. There are
We got any comments?
101. Mrs. Whitesell, did we have any public comments on any of the policies?
Well, there were so many and there are so many now.
So I am not going to read those 101 policies. Okay. D, discussion with possible action on approving the renewal contract with Maxim Healthcare Services.
What is the advantage of this over what we already provide by our own LPN?
This is for one of our LPN, she's a specialized, requires some specialized care, and so that's why it's a different contract to get our service.
Specialized care?
Mhm.
That's why she makes $51.50 an hour and our LPNs make $22.
And we're contracting through a company rather than directly with a nurse. So she per se is not making $51.50 an hour, that's what we have to pay the company. And that was under the direction of the school nurses that she needed specialized care that couldn't be provided otherwise.
Okay, action item E, discussion with possible action on approving the contract with Jesse Weinberger with Overnight Geek University for digital citizenship training. If you have any questions, refer those to Mr. Henshaw.
I think it says in that providing McDowell County schools, that probably should be Nicholas County schools, should.
The invoices to Nicholas County Schools, but I think that's probably just a template they usually change the name on.
There's not too much to get by, Mr. Moose.
That's a collaboration between the Nicholas County Schools and I believe the city of Somersville and we're paying for the speaker and other folks are paying for beverages and technical use meetings that we are not allowed to purchase. Basically, it's about digital citizenship. They're having 4 meetings. They're agreeing to meet with parents and students alike. So,
Is this fairly funded?
yes.
I saw Sarah Lee's name on it, that's why I thought it probably
Yeah,
was.
it's fairly fun. She just asked me to go over with you guys if you need that. That's she's on vacation.
Anything else? Mr. Moose, do you have any more questions on that?
No.
Okay. F, discussion with possible action on approving the McGraw-Hill contract for math training.
Is that for the one with the new books?
Yes.
I think it's required, it's in our staff development, not just school staff, because it's a required training. When you have new textbooks, you have to do.
You have to, you don't have a choice.
Okay, action item G, discussion with possible action on approving the contract with To Teach Global for co-teaching professional development.
That's a company that, when we did our professional staff development council, we had several people ask for co-teaching training, which is having, 2 teachers, a special education teacher and a general education teacher. And this is a West Virginia company out of the Eastern Panhandle, so that, and we have that set up for the fall, I think, September and October and February, and some coaching along with that.
And we're also looking at the ECAS, because it's not just special education teachers as co-teachers anymore. It's because we're putting ECAS in classrooms with teachers that are not used to having that support. We want to make sure that we're getting the most benefit by having 2 people in classrooms.
I think some of it's going to be too almost like a pilot project. One person, we're having a variety of different people, and then we're hoping that people will see the benefit of that, and we can get more people on board for next year.
Okay, H is discussion with possible action on approving the all-school crisis plan MOUs. All the school crisis plans.
And for security purposes, those were not loaded out there. They are provided so that we can collect them after the end of the meeting.
Yeah, that is. Alternate locations at the university have to take care of a certain place.
Yeah.
Mr. Hanshaw just mentioned that at our next board work session, we would like to have an executive session to go over the crisis plans in detail with the board, so that we can bring it up and show you how extensive these plans are and it's a requirement from the state.
Tonight? Separate work session?
No, sure, if you want to do it.
No. Well, I just made a comment to Mr. Bean. That's a lot to look at, so,
Well, we really do need those approved, because.
before school starts.
Yeah, and their crisis plans are due to the state by August 15th. So, and this is part of, that's the template that they require filled out as part of the program.
Okay. Action item I, discussion with possible action on the renewal contract with Jennifer McMillian, LPN.
Those three, the next three, can you enter, there's Teresa Frazier, yeah, Jennifer McMillian, Teresa Frazier, and Amy Mentor. Those are LPNs that we have placed in specific schools that have students that have needs that have to be met with an LPN, like insulin administration and those kinds of things.
Okay, so that's action item I, J, and K. Action item L, discussion with possible action on putting the dress code policy out for a 30-day public comment.
I've got one thing I'd like to bring up there, and I don't know if you can do it or not, but I would highly suggest it if we can. I know it's the dress code guidelines, and guidelines are exactly that. They're not set in stone, and there's some interpretation of the things that's there. With that being said, I don't know why, I didn't know that was going to be taken out about the pledge and the hats and that section. And I understand the civil liberties and the objection by the attorneys or whatever, but I don't know why you couldn't put in there, although it is not mandated, it is suggestion by the board or whatever, that students remove their hats while reciting the Pledge of Allegiance or standing for the national anthem and stuff. I don't know why you couldn't put something in there that it's not mandated, but we would suggest.
We were going to do that verbally in meetings with classes as they come in and discuss the dress code policy, self-ed policy, and the discipline matrix at the beginning of the year. That was going to be verbally stressed to students, but we could add that statement.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
We're going to.
Yeah, you say, although not mandated, and that should protect you legally, that it's highly encouraged or suggested out of respect that during the Pledge of Allegiance, national anthem, moment of silence, that you remove your hats. If somebody doesn't want to do it, they don't have to do it. But I think it should be in there personally.
Okay, action item M, discussion with possible action on the renewal contract. Apogee.
Apogee is our website and communication system.
Right. Okay, are there any of these action items that you all would like to vote on separately, or can we vote on them all together? Anybody have one that they want to vote on separately? Was there one you?
I'd like some more information on Overnight Geek Incorporated. I noticed there's only one county in West Virginia that has had that. All the rest are in Ohio, and I just wondered if you have studied that and feel like it's worthwhile.
I know that Sarah had heard him speak at a conference, and that is what made her, that's what made her choose that.
And how's it paid?
Federal funds.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, if there's no one that needs anything pulled, we'll vote on action items A, B, C. C includes policies, updates 1 through 101. Action item D, action item E, action item F, G, H, I, J, K, L, and M. Do we have a motion to approve those action items?
And that will include the addition that Mr. Ferguson had asked for on the dress code, is that correct?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Is everybody else good with that?
Okay.
Mr. Moose, are you good with what he wants to add to the dress code?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
I do too. So do we have a motion to approve all those action items?
I so move.
Mr. Moose makes a motion, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Berry. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent items. A, finance.
Okay, first I want to reiterate how thankful we are for CW Wright for doing the work that they're going to do to set that pole with the lights on it, and Adam Kaufman, and that's a big deal, and they're doing that just for nothing, just to be helpful, and yeah, I just really appreciate that from them.
So you can talk them in to give us some lights for Prattville.
Are you on the roll?
Yeah, all right. Okay, first item is payment of current invoices. That was in your packet. What questions do we have about those?
But on page 3, that check to the West Virginia State Fire Commission, $62,000. I'm assuming that comes out of FEMA funds?
Yes, we'll get reimbursed.
Okay. That's, people don't realize all these numbers like that, I mean, $62,000 for the architectural review,
Right,
but
yeah, and that's, yeah, for the new school, right. And, well, that ZMM is not, but there's several through here. There's NMNH and some ZMMs and some SQPs and all those things. You know, those are things that we pay up. They're reimbursed by FEMA for the new construction of the new schools.
City construction, I don't know how good of construction people are, they're pretty good at front loading their invoices.
Oh, yeah, that's city.
Yeah, 1.4 million?
Right, that was, actually, that's for their bond.
Oh, they're bond.
Yeah. Yeah, we were surprised we got that just right off the bat. So, but they are moving right along already, so that's great.
Seems like construction's going real well at the Richwood site too. doesn't it?
yes.
For M&H, that they're still moving dirt, or they're
That's their final
cleaning off the
payment.
pad, or?
They are finished. That's their final
Okay.
payment. They had to, that was their last request, so they had to go through and approve everything and make sure that they had gotten everything completed, and that took a little bit longer. So that'll be their last payment.
I thought there was one pay application still out.
That's it.
That's the one?
Yeah, so we have to check and have it ready, and then when we get reimbursed, and then we release it to them.
The one we talked about today on the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And there ended up being some substantial credits
right,
off their contract
right.
for that final payment.
Yeah, I don't know that number off the top of my head, but yeah,
And it's still $500,000.
there was some changes in the scope of work, so it was less than we anticipated paying them.
What's that City of Summersville, 75,000?
That's for the pro officers in the summer
Oh,
school.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's paid for with the grant, or with levy.
Levy, yeah.
And I'm sure that's a deal
Yeah.
for two officers.
Yes.
Because if you start figuring there,
I think the city encourages them to attend a lot of your athletic events and things like that, and that's all put in there. They don't charge. Now, the county may, I think, charge some overtime on that, but the city doesn't. Right.
Any other payment questions?
1 gallon of water, $13.24. Come on, I'll sell them cheaper. I'll give them water cheaper than that.
what was that for?
What?
I missed that.
That's on the last page.
Okay, that's probably not really just a gallon of water. We order water for, actually,
It could be, because we have to order, sometimes we have to order from Crest, is that
Yes.
Crest Supply?
Mhm.
So for some of the batteries, it could, I mean, that could be accurate. Could be a special type of water.
Could be distilled water.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Some of those wet batteries require that.
yeah, that actually did come out of maintenance, so.
Okay.
Sounds like we can save some money there.
Yeah, good point.
Somebody was really thirsty and somebody was selling it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good question. That's the right kind of stuff to look for. Any more invoice questions? Okay, then next we'll go to contracts. Got a few of those. First being Phillips Termite and Pest Control. We actually had used another vendor prior to this, but Alan compared the prices, and this price was cheaper by the month and also cheaper if we have to have extra service calls. So. Yeah, reminder, we have ants. Okay, next is Nicholas Community Action Partnership, Head Start Pre-K collaboration, and it also includes the meal contract.
Head Start, page 15, there's just a little typo there, $20,000 difference.
Oh, right, where it's 195,000 and it says 175, yeah.
175, you caught that? Okay.
Yeah, but then after that, it talks about the monthly amount, and so when you do that math,
Right,
it comes back
right.
right. And everybody had already signed it, so.
I can see 195 was right, but
Yeah.
got 175 in parentheses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got that. And then there's also the agreement with Friends or Fun, that's for pre-K collaboration and meal contract. And Sarah Kuiper worked really hard on those to get those ready for this year, so if you have any details you need to ask about, she is your girl on that. Next, NCHS. Vending machines, they just, last year, they had put that out for bid, and they had caveat in there that they could renew for 2 more years, and so they are just renewing that for another year. And then lastly, Miller and Sons auction for our upcoming auction. And then we have 2 bids. TSS Photography was the only bidder for Panther Creek's photography needs, and RT Rogers was the winning bidder for our fuel bid that Alan put out at the end of July. Originals. Let's do look original. You guys have any questions about any of those contracts or bids? Okay, then B is out-of-state leased vehicle requests.
They're actually using county buses, but they are both out of state.
Yeah.
That was a trip to Virginia, volleyball.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, they were doing that because they are not in the, they don't have teams to play here in single.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. Do you happen to know?
No, I don't know either.
They take a lot of trips over in that area throughout the year.
Right across the board, it's not too far across the board.
I don't think it's real far away, and they're finding schools that are a little bit smaller.
It's right above, Bath County's right above Marlington.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's just 2 miles out there. You get down to school.
I used to drive that road.
Yeah, sure it is. We played the football thing last year, Bath County, I believe.
Yeah.
And basketball.
And then C is student transfer requests. Looks like there's,
Is that typical numbers, or is that large? Is
I
that
think it's
large?
probably large because it's the beginning of the school year. I think that some of those, isn't that the case that probably some of these kids have done this in years past?
They have. And you guys didn't have to board approve them, but just recently that law was changed, and now you have to board approve
Yeah,
everything.
approve everything.
Every transfer.
Right.
So that's And we'll have a few on the next board agenda.
Just that we haven't seen them before, right?
And actually, I
Hadn't had two last year.
actually had a phone call from a teacher about this, and I said they changed the law on it.
Oh.
It's nothing.
Yeah, we've had several calls.
Formality.
When you do have transfers in county, it doesn't bother me, but is it just county working with county, like if we have students that live at Mount Nebo that end up going to Midland Trail outside of county, because we do lose that number, correct?
We do.
Do you have to approve it, or, I mean, is that an option to approve it, or is it just seen that you would approve it because you may have somebody from Fayette coming to Nicholas, or? I'm just curious how it works.
They're usually approved, it's usually because of either, for instance, when I was in Pocahontas County, we had kids that were Droop Mountain. It's a lot closer if they were to go to Greenbrier County to Frankfort, would be to try to come down to Hillsborough. And their parents maybe work over there, they can't get them on a bus, so we let them transfer that way. So, and it kind of works both ways. We had kids from Randolph County come to Greenbrier, because it was closer for them where they live. So where our boundaries are, it's, with open, the only caveat is you can refuse a student from out of county if they've been expelled, or if it puts you over on your numbers, you have to have teachers. Let's say you got 23 kindergarten kids and you got somebody who wants to come to Mount Lookout, you got 23 already, they got to hire another teacher, so you can refuse them under those circumstances. That's basically it's
If they're out of the area.
Right, if they're out of the area.
Thank you.
We don't have any applicants for the Richwood High School math.
Let's take care, we'll get to that in just a second. Any other questions for Kristen? Okay, let's accept, someone make a motion to accept consent items, finance, payment of current invoices and the contracts A, B, C, D, E, and the bids A, B, and the out-of-state leased vehicle, actually that's school bus, right? 1 and 2, and then the student transfer request 1 through 20. We have a motion to accept those.
I make that motion.
Mr. Berry makes a motion, seconded by? Second. Mr. Green? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Personnel.
I need a short executive session to discuss personnel and a legal matter, please.
Okay, we need a motion for an executive session to discuss personnel and legal matter.
Make a motion to go in executive session.
Mr. Berry makes a motion, seconded by? Do we have a motion to come out of the executive session?
So moved.
Mr. Ferguson makes a motion, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Moose. All in favor?
Aye.
At 6:55, there were no decisions made in executive session. Personnel.
As presented, we are striking number 1, employment as a principal at Birch River. And I have one correction, it's Tammy Gross under FMLA leave.
I think I fixed that.
Yeah, it is red, so I went ahead and announced it. So.
The correction on Tammy was the spelling.
Yes.
Well, actually, no, I had the wrong Tammy.
Oh, okay.
It's Tammy Gross instead of Tammy Groves.
Okay, yeah.
So-
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the personnel agenda as presented?
Make a motion.
Mr. Green makes a motion, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Berry. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, reports, SESC, Mr. Ferguson.
I have nothing to report this time unless Superintendent has.
We have another meeting
Next week, okay. Bright Horizons, Mr. Green.
Last board meeting, they're doing very well. We've got great staff there. I mean, you can't brag on them enough. You just need to go and watch and see what they do. They're awesome. Things going great.
Okay, number 12, items for future agendas. Anyone? Okay, future meeting dates, regular meeting Monday, August 19th. Here at the board office, starting at 5 o'clock. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Berry makes a motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Ferguson, second. All in favor? Aye. At 6:58.